Hey, hello there, guys. It's me, Cedric from Cedric's Trains, back yet again with another locomotive review. But today, we're going to be reviewing the Broadway Limited Paragon 4 fef-3 number 842. Alright, so as you guys can see, this is the box. Yeah, the box is nice. It's a bit, I guess you could say cheap for my liking. For how much the locomotive costs, this locomotive costs MSRP from Broadway Limited, $970 Canadian, because I live in Canada. And let's open the box up, even though I already have the locomotive out. Just want to show you guys, the only padding that there is the padding right here, the little foam on these sides and at the back. That's it. There's nothing else except for the inner box. Now, you might say, well, that's not really a problem. Well, I mean, for me it is. You know, you're paying this much for this locomotive. You want a good box, you know. You don't want a small box like this. You want a big box like the MTHHO boxes that, like, scream the quality. And this isn't screaming quality for me. But moving on to the locomotive itself now, which I'll bring at trackside. Yeah, this is the 842. It looks really good. I love how it looks, by the way. It's really nice. The only thing I do find quite unfortunate is that the wind wings don't come off. Which they're screwed in too, which is like kind of pointless. Their wind wings, they put one screw up here, two screws on the bottom, which to be honest, they could have just put two screws on the bottom. This top one's not necessary. But these two things right here on both sides, I'll put some high resolution pictures up for you guys, so you can see it clearly. Those hold on to the locomotive and they don't come off. I tried taking it off, it's just stuck, and I don't want to break it, so they come halfway off. And anyways, when they're halfway off, you can clearly see under the wind wings, you can see the smoke unit, which is very disappointing that it's not like a I think you would say a flush fit. Yeah, which that is pretty disappointing to me that this is that much, and there is a gap there. But let's move on from that. Most of the detail, what was that? Most of the detail on the shell of the diecast 842 is molded in. I'll put some high resolution pictures up on screen. The dynamo is there, but I believe it's plastic. Yeah, it's plastic. The whistle is detailed too, but yet again, that's plastic. And, I mean, that's metal, sorry, not plastic. And the bell swings, which is nice. But the cover for the boiler seems to be very loose. It just comes off free will, which I'll put a picture of that up too. But besides that, the locomotive tender drawbar connection is really tight, which is nice. It looks prototypical from what I know. And yeah, I believe most of the detail that is prototypical to 842 is there. Let me look at some pictures quickly, and I'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, it's post-editing Cedric here, or maybe in editing Cedric here. I forgot to, I guess I must have forgot to do the part where I compared the real locomotive to the model, in terms of prototypical accuracy. And to start off with, the bell is black in real life, but it's gold on the locomotive, and the whistle seems to be black as well. But at the same time, maybe that's just from coal. Or I think this is an oil burner anyways, so that could have just been it could just be dirty. I don't know. And the valves on top of the whistle seem to be black as well, but that could just be dirty. I don't know. 842 in this photo looks very dirty anyways. But that's basically what's not prototypically accurate. And then there is this little wire here and here that is missing, and the front brake line pipe is non-existent on the Model 2, and the model's axles are not painted, which is a big bummer, but you can do that yourself. And it does look to be that the tender, what do you call it, tender or axle caps are black, but that just might be from dirt, I'm not sure. And this is prototypically accurate here, where these are painted white. That's like that on the model, but the front, I believe you would say pony, is black, not black with white stripes in the middle, which is how it is on the model. You can see the model is actually right here. So yeah, that's what they are, I guess, made a mistake on, possibly. But everything else seems to be prototypically accurate. I'm not noticing anything else missing. To be honest, there's not. Um, yeah, I think that's all that's missing. But there's one thing I want to point out to you guys that I found was pretty interesting on Broadway Limited's website. If you go to the All Steam category in HO scale, the FEF-3 is no longer on their website, which is really, really, really strange. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, you have the Upclass FEF-2-3 2021. Click on this, and only this one comes up. So I'm not sure why the rest are all gone, which is, really, 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 really weird to me. I'm not sure if that means that 842 and 844 or a limited time run, and 836 wasn't. But that is very strange to me. I felt like just pointing that out. So yeah, let's get back to pre-editing Cedric and let him show you guys the tender. Alright, so now on to the tender. Everything on the tender looks pretty good. I'll put some high resolution pictures up on the screen as well. The tender has some details up here, I'm not sure what they are, but it looks to be separately applied but also molded in, I can't tell. And then these hatches on the back, I don't think they're separately applied, to be honest. They don't look separately applied. And the ladders on the back look really good. Those are separately applied. And the Union Pacific lettering looks really, really good. And, oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention, though, that the axle caps on the locomotive, which I'll put a picture of that up now, which just in case you don't know what the axle caps are, they should be painted black, but they're not, for some reason, which is a big bummer. So yeah, that's great. But the axle caps on the tender are painted, but they are painted white, not black. Which from this one picture I'm looking at, the tender axle caps should be black, and the wheel set on the front of the locomotive should be solid black as well. There shouldn't be that white stripe. I might be wrong here, but I'm looking at the picture and I don't see any white stripes. But the axle caps on the rear bogie are indeed the silverish white color, so that is prototypically right. So there does seem to be some hiccups, you could say, with this locomotive. So that's going to deduct some points from the point system. And back to the tender, though. There is a builder's plate on the side, which I'll put a high resolution picture up. That is readable. And oh yeah, also under the wind wings, there is the builder plate, and that is legible, I believe you would say. But at the same time, I don't know why they'd even put that there, because you can't take the wind wings fully off. Although it is nice to know that that's there, but I just wish they would come fully off. Unless they can, and you guys know how to take them off, let me know in the comments, because it'd be pretty interesting running 842 with no wind wings. But besides that, moving on to everything else, like I was saying, the tender, everything is there. I don't know for certain because there's only one picture of 842 in real life, and that picture is of the left side of the locomotive. So I don't know for certain if in real life it had the big box on the side, which I'll put a picture of that up too. I don't know if that's actually meant to be there or not, but I will assume for now that it is, and I'll edit captions in if it's not, which I hope it is meant to be there, because I'll be utterly disappointed if it's not. And then moving on to the next part, which would be the cab detail. There does appear to be quite a lot of cab detail, which is good. I'm not sure if 842 had this door contraption thing. I don't know what it'd be called. But there, I'll put a picture up on screen too. There is a door in between the tender and the locomotive. I don't know if that's meant to be there, but I'm assuming it is. I've never seen an fef-3 in real life. I live in Canada. So yeah. But besides that, everything else looks really, really good. And there are crew figures, but they're not full crew figures, I think. It's hard to see from here, but they look to be half crew figures, which is disappointing too. So that's gonna deduct some points there. And the let me look in here just to make sure. Yeah, there is quite a lot of detail inside of the locomotive, which is good. And let's move on to the electronics now. Okay, so moving on to the electronics now. I will say though, I'm not really a fan of QSI. The speed control's kind of bad. But the thing I do love about this with the QSI is that it has a quillable whistle, which is really, really cool. I didn't know that was a thing. It even works on their Paragon 2 locomotives, which is, you know, really, really cool. I'll insert a video of that now on screen. Yeah, so as you guys can see, that is like pretty cool. I love that. I wish it was a bit more clear though when you were cleaning the whistle, but it's clear enough to me. And yeah. Now moving on to the smoke unit. This thing does have a smoke unit, but the smoke unit is utterly terrible, I would say. This locomotive's already been to BLI's repair shop once, and it's still horrible. And you know, I do want it fixed, so I'm probably gonna do another review when this comes back again from BLI, because I'm hoping I can send it back again for the second time to see if I can get a new fef-3, because possibly something's wrong with it. I don't know. They apparently replaced the heater plates, but it doesn't look like anything's been done. So yeah, moving on from that. But yeah, moving on from that, the QSI sounds aren't the best. There's very limited crew talk, only 4 whistles, which up to modern day standards is not enough. Considering brands like Tsunami have 40 different whistles and 20 different bells. This only has 1 different bell and 3 different whistles, which is disappointing for something of how much this costs. And originally, when I first got this, the chopping would become unsynchronized above speed step 16, which I'll insert a clip of that now. Moving on to that. So when I decelerate and hear it become unsynchronized. So, speed step 16, then decelerate. And see, there is no chopping noise now, which is always good. Exactly what you want to hear from a steam locomotive that's meant to have chopping noises. Moving on to that now. They did fix that by updating the sound files, but at the same time, you know, shouldn't it have been released with updated sound files? But it wasn't for some reason, which doesn't make any sense to me. which is, you know, pretty disappointing that it came with a a bad update. So that should have been a recall in my opinion, but it's a hit or miss with BLI. I've said that multiple times in the past, and I'm gonna say it again. But yeah, back to the sounds. The speakers aren't good at all. I would recommend that you switch them out, put better speakers inside, and possibly it would sound better. And this thing is turned up so loud from BLI, it's almost unbearable to listen to. I have it turned down from 255, like the CV, like 213 I think. It is out of 255, and BLI set it to 153. I set it to 63, and it's still ear-piercingly loud. So that's okay-ish, but moving on from that, I guess then that's it for the actual review part. Okay, now, so on to the startup. I will not talk during the startup, and I will just put the captions on the screen. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the startup. And after that, we will do the running session, and then we'll tally up the points. Alright, here we go.
Sorry, they got a switch problem down at 119 and a bunch of traffic coming. 700, yeah, it's a big load for the train. Yeah, we may get a switcher. Okay, roger that. Waiting on one westbound and follow them out.
Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that running session. But now, let's move on to the points. Alright, so now moving on to the last bit, which is the points. My point system is out of 50, and the categories are, smoke, if applicable, running slash pulling power and how good the motor is. And my third category is the decoder slash speaker quality. My fourth my fourth category is material, and my fifth category, last but not least, detail. Alright, so let's start with smoke. The smoke on this model is absolutely garbage, at least in mine. It doesn't work at all. It smells horrible too, and that's after sending it back to BLI to get the smoke unit heater plates replaced. It still it still runs horribly with the smoke unit on. And a new thing it's doing now is that when you have the smoke unit on, it will just shut off when it wants to. So that's great. That's gonna be a solid 2 out of 10. It just doesn't run right at all. And the smoke is not visible at all. So yeah, that's gonna be a 2 out of 10. Now running slash pulling. Now definitely 10 out of 10 for that. You barely hear the motor in this. It's so quiet. It's perfect, to be honest, in the pulling department. Um, like there's no motor issues at all. It doesn't derail. And it can pull probably, I'm guessing, 200 cars by itself, easily in HO scale. I mean, this thing can pull my Texas without slipping, and my Texas T1, the body itself weighs 3 pounds, just the engine alone. Maybe it's like 2.5, but it's a crazy puller, and this thing just pulls it with not even caring, with not a care in the world. It pulls it, which is crazy, honestly. Um, this is comparable to my Trix Class 77 that weighs 2.3 ounces. I mean 2.3 pounds, and it has 4 traction tires, and that can pull this, but very, very slowly. It can pull it, but this thing basically equals out to that, which is crazy, by the way. That's a full diecast European locomotive, by the way. I think I said the brand was Trix HO, but that's gonna be it for running. That's a 10 out of 10, as I already said. Now decoder, yeah, yikes, BLI, really, really big yikes, 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 yikes. That's going to be I'll say 5 out of 10 because it's bad, but it's not that bad. I like the fact that it has the coolable whistle, which I had never seen any other locomotive with that in my entire HO scale career except my MTH 412-2. But the difference is that that only works on DCS, the coolable whistle. So that's definitely a big props here. But the speaker quality is not good. It's outdated QSI sound. And they sent it to me with faulty soundboard sound files that didn't work above speed step 16. It would just lose its synchronization. Still, it's not perfect even after they updated the sound files. But in my opinion, that should have been a recall. Totally, it should have been. But yeah, that's gonna be the decoder side. Yeah, it just doesn't run all the time, and the capacitors don't do anything. They really don't. If you're moving, they just don't work. They don't hold the lights, smoke unit, but they hold the motor and the sound semi, but barely. Yes, that's gonna be it for decoder. 5 out of 10 because of the coilable whistle. Material, that's gonna be a easy 10 out of 10. Because it's full diecast. There's not much else I can say about that. Even I believe the drivers are diecast too, maybe. Well, maybe they're not diecast, because I think if they were diecast, it wouldn't pick up power, because diecast might not be might not be electricity conductive or something like that, I would think. But it's amazing detail. Sorry, not detail. Amazing material, to be honest. I wouldn't have asked for anything different, especially with it having diecast. And I don't think there are any weights inside. I mean, I saw a picture of what it looked like open, and it's just the hollow chassis. So you could, I mean, just a hollow shell. So you could definitely throw a couple weights on the top of the body and have increased pulling power, which would be crazy, even though it already has that much pulling power. So yeah, that's gonna be a 10 out of 10. Now detail, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. The reason why it's not prototypically accurate. The bell should be black, the whistle should be black, the tender um, axle caps should be black, and the axle caps on the locomotive should be black too. And they should slightly poke out, but they're not. And the front pony truck should have solid black wheels, not black with white stripes in the middle. That's prototypically inaccurate, so I'm giving it 7 out of 10 because it still looks great. So, if we add all that together, which I said the first one was for smoke, which is going to be a 0 out of 10. Then the running / pulling power will be a 10 out of 10. And the decoder will be a 5 out of 10. Material will be a 10 out of 10. And detail will be a 7 out of 10, which equals to 32. So yeah, that's my final rating, 32 out of 50. Now, I know that is quite low, but I think it does deserve it, to be honest. Because it's not really prototypically accurate. That is easily fixable with some paint, but I shouldn't have to do that. And painting the whistle black would be really hard because um if you kept the shell on, you would have to hope and pray that that paint does not drip into the smoke unit, and you would destroy the smoking whistle. So yeah, that'd be great. So yeah, 32 out of 50. Hope you guys agree with me. And one thing I want to say, if you guys are still watching now, I greatly do appreciate it. It really helps my channel out. Um, you definitely just gave me like 30 minutes of watch time. Thank you. And one thing, if I ever get to 1,000 subscribers, I will legitimately uh use a Zaza and cut my Penny Pacific in half. Yes, I'm not kidding. I actually will. You can hold me accountable. And I have been thinking though, maybe opening a Patreon, but I don't know. I've been thinking maybe if I ever hit like 3,000 subscribers on that Patreon, I don't know how it works. I would do it for $1, and if I ever get 300 people, every 3 months I would give out a DCC with sound locomotive via a contest on my YouTube channel. That's not a lie, by the way. I would actually do that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching to the end. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a good rest of your day, night, morning, or afternoon. Thanks for watching so much. Goodbye. Cedric Trains, signing off.